You know, we usually think of science as this thing that just gives us clear, solid answers. But today, we're diving into a story where every new discovery has somehow only made the mystery deeper, and it's challenging some of our most basic ideas about how the universe works, one atom at a time. So, what's at the center of all this? It's this really unique quantum metal called lanthanum rhodium indium 5, or let's just call it LaRhIn5 to make it easier. For 2 whole decades, this little piece of metal has been holding on to a secret that just doesn't line up with what we think we know about the subatomic world. Okay, so let's rewind. Our story really kicks off back in 2002. We've got a team of physicists, and they're testing this very special metal, pushing it to its absolute limits inside some of the most powerful magnetic fields on the planet. So they're pushing this material into this super extreme state they call the ultraquantum limit. Now, decades of physics theory said that when you do this, a specific magnetic signal from its electrons, well, it should just vanish. Poof, gone. But it didn't. The signal stubbornly stuck around, completely defying everything they expected. And just like that, the first chapter of our mystery was open. The researchers knew immediately that this was a big deal. This wasn't some tiny measurement error. It was a fundamental puzzle that flew right in the face of the textbooks. They'd basically stumbled on a clue that just screamed for an explanation. For 2 whole years, this puzzle just sat there, unsolved. Then, in 2004, a couple of theorists came along and proposed what seemed like a totally brilliant and honestly beautiful solution to the whole thing. Their idea was, hey, what if this isn't just a regular old metal? They suggested it had these weird one-dimensional things inside called nodal lines. You can kind of picture them as these tiny invisible threads running through the crystal that totally change the rules for any electrons that happen to loop around them. And this wasn't just some vague, hand-wavy idea. No, this nodal line model actually predicted a very specific and kind of unusual structure for the electron energies inside the metal. While standard theory just couldn't make sense of it, this new model gave a solid, concrete reason for why that magnetic signal just refused to go away. And wow, was it a success. When they actually calculated what the signal should be with this nodal line model, it was a perfect match. I mean, it fit the original puzzling data like a key sliding into a lock. So for 17 years, everybody thought the mystery was solved. Case closed, right? But you know how it is in science. A closed case isn't always locked and bolted. All it really takes is one new clue, one new piece of evidence to blow the whole investigation wide open again. So let's fast forward 17 years. 17! The case has gone cold, everyone thinks it's solved, and then a new team led by Chunyu Guo shows up. They've got a completely different and really clever way to look at the material, and they decide, you know what, let's reopen this investigation. This time, they didn't just look at the same old magnetization. Nope, they did something way more subtle. They measured the material's quantum heartbeat and tracked how its frequency changed as they warmed it up. This little temperature shift is actually a super direct way to probe the very nature of the electrons inside. And what they found was, well, it was a total shock. They didn't see any evidence of a nodal line at all. Instead, their data was screaming Dirac point, a totally different kind of feature. It's like they were looking for a long piece of thread and found a single tiny isolated bead instead. The mystery was back, and this time it was way deeper. Okay, so this just blew the whole thing wide open. It set the stage for this amazing scientific showdown that really played out in the pages of Nature Communications in 2023. You've got 2 completely conflicting pieces of evidence and 2 theories going head-to-head. First up, the original theorists, Mikitik and Sharlai. They didn't just sit back, they fired back. They went right back to that original 2002 experiment and argued that this new Dirac point idea, it had a fatal flaw. And their point was just so simple, but so powerful. They basically said, okay, let's see what happens if we apply this new Dirac point idea to our old data. And it completely bombed. Where the original data showed these sharp downward dips, the new model predicted the exact opposite, sharp upward spikes. That's a huge point for Team Nodal Line. But wait, Guo's team, the newcomers, they had a trump card of their own,
And it was a really, really good one, based on a totally different experiment they ran. So what they did was they measured the material again, but this time they tilted the magnetic field. Think about it. If you have a line, like a pencil, and you look at it from different angles, its shape seems to change, right? But if you have a point, a tiny sphere, it looks the same from every angle. Well, they found the frequency barely changed at all, no matter the angle. That's a huge piece of evidence that the feature is point-like, not a line.
And that, right there, is the heart of the paradox. We are at a total scientific stalemate. You've got the nodal line theory, which perfectly explains the first experiment, but can't explain the second. And you've got the Dirac point theory, which perfectly explains the second experiment, but completely fails on the first.
So that's where we are, right now, today. After 2 decades of brilliant work, the mystery of LaRhIn5 is somehow even more confusing than when it all started.
And you don't have to take my word for it. The scientists themselves, in their 2023 paper, just come right out and say it. Right now, there is no single theory that can explain everything. They're left with 2 beautiful sets of data that seem to tell 2 completely different stories.
So we're left with this really simple question: point or line? And we just don't have an answer. We've got 2 perfect clues that point in opposite directions. Is it possible both are somehow right? Or is there a third, even stranger explanation that nobody's even thought of yet? And you know what? That might be the coolest part of this whole thing. This isn't a story with a neat little bow on top. It's a reminder that science isn't some dusty old book of facts. It's a live, unfolding detective story. We get to watch the twists and turns of discovery happen in real time. And that proves that sometimes the journey through the mystery is just as amazing as the final answer.